Hey guys, welcome to Warhammer and welcome to this sit and talk. So we're back doing a sit and talk, this time with someone different. We haven't got Mike with us this time. There is a reason, he just annoys me.
Yeah, and Mike is one of the few people that I can actually seriously claim I have more hair than.
Yeah. No, I'm joking. Mike doesn't annoy me at all, he's wonderful. But we did do 2 videos with Mike recently. I'm touching my microphone because it's tickling my neck. We did do 2 videos with Mike recently and we had audio issues, big audio issues that we lost the footage. We also had problems copying. We had about 3 or 4 issues in once that meant that 2 videos were just unusable, which is a real shame, and it meant there's been a big gap. Luckily, the last video we did drop was a big old battle report with Winters from Winters SEO. That's gone down really well. People have been enjoying that, so hopefully that filled a little bit of a gap. But it's a shame. It is what it is. It's part of show business, I suppose, isn't it?
Is this show business?
I think it's show business. It's as close as I'm ever going to get to show business, right? So we're back, but this time we've got Andy Byrne. So Andy, you guys haven't seen yet on Warhammer, I know that for a fact, but we've just been filming a battle report for deploymentzone.tv. If you don't know what deploymentzone.tv is, that's a collaboration website between myself and Winters SEO. We put a battle report online every single Tuesday. It's a subscription service. We also have debate shows, we have chat shows, we have top tips, all that kind of stuff goes on there. So a merchandise page, etc. And that's what this big symbol is here, because I've just been filming for DZ and I wasn't expecting necessarily to film for Warhammer, but because we lost all that footage, we kind of had to do something quite quickly. I thought Andy would be a perfect person to bring onto the show, purely for one main majority reason is you're a returning to hobby in 8th edition person, aren't you? And this is a story we hear loads at the moment. Because of 8th edition and the way the rule sets are, we hear that lots of people are coming back to the hobby for 8th edition. So I thought we'd grab Andy, have a little chat about why he's back, all that kind of stuff. Talk about the armies that he's picked and why he's picked them and how he's getting on. Because he's got a multitude of experience from using commission painters to practicing himself and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be really, really cool. For those of you that have subscribed since the battle report, thank you very much for coming and joining us. It's amazing how much it's skyrocketed since we recorded with Winters for that battle report. Him and I have got another one planned in January, so stay tuned for another one that's coming really, really soon. And next week we're filming 2 battle reports, one after the other, Wednesday and Thursday, both from Warhammer.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so there is a bucket load more content coming.
Double header.
Yeah, that's what we'll call him, otherwise known as Noel. Yeah, well, it's Noel for one, Brom for the other. We've got new channel army, so we've picked up an army called Those That Whisper from a guy called Rob, or Rob Not Steve if you've watched Winters SEO. And he painted an Eldar army for deploymentzone.tv that he used, and then he wanted to get rid of it, and we went, hey, we'll take it. Liam's an Eldar player, so we've got that. It's Wraith heavy, there's a Revenant Titan. Ian, you've just played it.
Yeah, it's filth.
I didn't think it was that bad, but
no,
yeah.
It's to be fair, it wasn't that bad, and we were playing a narrative game, so it works for that. And they're just so cool. They're kind of undead.
Yeah,
and the aesthetic of the army is really nice.
I really love them, and they're good fun because they're different to my they're very different to my Simon and how I normally play. So it's me now looking at new stratagems and stuff that I haven't been able to use before, which is really, really cool. So before we go on and have a chat with Andy, obviously most of you will know that Chapter Approved is coming soon. By the time this video is up, the pre-order at least will already be up and ready for you to order. It's looking very, very exciting. By the time this video drops, Winters' preview will already be up. I've seen some of it already because I'm privy to that information being his business partner.
He won't tell me anything.
I think Chapter Approved is going to be awesome. I'm really excited by it. I haven't looked in depth, so I can't say it's for definite, but I'm excited about the fact that the GW community page has already said there's points drops for things like Wraith Knights.
Grey Knights.
There's points drops for Grey Knights, there's points drops for Terminators supposedly. I'm excited
about the Terminators.
Yeah, I don't think they're massive, but I think it could make a big difference. That's the key, right?
Well, I've desperately been trying to make Deathwing work for a year.
With your Dark Angels?
Yes, with the Dark Angels, and those Terminators are beautiful, they're fun, they've got a cool narrative, they should be awesome.
Deathwing Terminators, Deathwing Knights specifically, are one of the coolest kits they've ever made, in my eyes.
And they can be really good, but you just can't take enough of them.
Yeah.
So the idea of potentially squeezing in an extra squad, deep strike, or trundling them up in a Land Raider, really good. Because Land Raiders might be getting a points drop as well.
And one of the other things, Land Raiders might be getting a points drop as well, by quite some from what I can make out. And the other thing that clearly means, as far as I'm aware, that GW have been watching the show, is they're bringing out formations. Now, a lot of people are getting very angry about formations. Now, I'm not sure if you had or will have any experience. 7th edition formations were horrifically bad. They were broken cheese that made broken cheese more broken and more cheesy. They were terrible. They were a horrendous idea. The bookkeeping was awful.
It's before my time.
They were not great. The formations they're bringing out in the Vigilus campaign book, first of all, narrative play only. So you can't use them in matched as it stands. I wouldn't be massively surprised to see that stance change in the future, because I've had a look at some of the formations that have been leaked online through things like Potato Cam, and they're not that bad. And what they've done is they've listened to me, who said that my Simhan aren't good enough, and they've gone, here's a Simhan formation. Must have listened to me. Must have.
Poor them.
Fair enough, yeah. But it looks like a lot of the formations will include or require you to include, this isn't true either. Formations in 7th edition, you had to take unit X, Y, and Z to make the formation, and then you've got loads of additional rules. Formations in 8th edition is you pay a command point for the formation. If your army includes these units, they gain these keywords, which means you can use these stratagems. So it isn't a permanent army-wide buff. It's not there forever. You can't use it all the time. You don't get it for every unit in your army. You have to pay a command point to use it, and then once you've paid the command point to use it, you get access to stratagems which you need to pay command points for that affect the keywords you've just gained from paying for the formation. So it's not going to be that broken. I like the idea. You also normally get a relic and a warlord trait and stuff like that. So I think it's really
adds
cool.
more flavour to your army.
Yeah.
Rather than breaking it or making it really super competitive.
And for me, 40k, the more variation of armies you see on the table, the better it is for the hobby. I don't want to go to an event or a weekend or a gaming weekend, even if it's not a competitive event, and play the same army 3 times. It's just not. That's not what people like to do. So if you bring out a load more options, so that the same person who plays Eldar or Imperial Guard or Space Marines can play it 3 or 4 different ways, that's got to be good for the hobby.
It's good. It kind of prevents that kind of codex fever that you see at gaming clubs.
Yeah,
everyone, when the Orcs codex came out, the gaming club I go to, everyone was playing Orcs. And it was the only game you could get for about 3 weeks.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I want to bring my Orcs. I want to bring they all came out of the woodwork.
Thing is,
sorry, Alan.
No, we're not sorry. Orc players have been Orc players for a very, very long time, and lots of Orc players also play an additional army, and you tend to find that the Orcs for many editions have sat on the shelves because they've just not been that great.
Yeah.
So it's amazing now that they can bring them. And we're seeing lots of people running Orcs now. I don't know whether they do well at tournaments. I've had a look at some of the data because I've got the Best Coast Pairings app and stuff like that. They're doing okay. They're not game breaking. I think they're in a good place. I think the Codex has put them in a good place rather than they're too broken cheese place or a we can't win anything place. So I think overall they're doing really well.
For me, as you said, I've been coming back to the hobby for it's been a year now, and 18 months I've been playing again for a year. Orcs are just so much fun.
Yeah.
Because even if you're rubbish and you don't know what you're doing, which I probably still am, you've just played me. You could say that. You kill stuff. You delete stuff.
Yeah.
You will get an impact.
And you get cool rules.
Yeah. And even more so now that the Codex is out.
And Orc players historically have been quite fun to play as well, which is always quite nice. I've never had a bad game against an Orc player, apart from Dan Ford. Had to get that in there. So a little bit of another update for the channel before we go on to our main subject where we talk to Andy about his life, is what we're doing going forward. So you'll know that we're trying to get these videos out more regularly. That's been the case. Like I said, we've had a bad couple of weeks with footage failing on us and stuff, but the intent's still there and the content's still coming. It's just we're building up that bank right now. But what we're also doing in 2018, or what I'm doing in 2018, is I'm going to hit the tournament scene. I'm going to do another video about this later on with Mike. We did do that as one of the videos that died, so there is content there to talk about what we're going to do. but we're going to go and do some tournaments. It's going to be no more than what we were doing previously, really, because what I'm doing majority of the time is booking time off work to do it. So my free time, which is normally my days off, will still be focusing on channel stuff.
I'm hoping you mean 2019 as well.
That is what I mean, yeah. Yeah.
So that's 1 month of...
I've had 4 days off, and I've filmed, edited and filmed for my 3 of my 4 days off, so I'm just tired and I'm back to work tomorrow. So when I'm asleep on the desk like that, my boss is going, "What's up with you?" "Nothing, I'm well rested." But yeah, most of the tournaments so far have been on days that I'm working, so I've had to book the weekends off, which is good because it doesn't affect Warhammer and DZ time. So that's not. And actually, what it allows us to do for sitting chats with Mike or with people like yourself is talk about the experiences of these events.
Yeah, I'd be really good.
And you've suggested as well that you might be up for coming to a few.
Yeah. I mean, I've spent a year kind of chucking dice, having a laugh, and I went to the Warhammer tournament, and obviously No Surrender that Richie and the Claw organised. I know they're not serious, full-on tournaments. They're kind of fun.
No, yeah.
But I had a really good time. I know you're not necessarily guaranteed to get the same group of individuals at, say, an ITC tournament, but I thought I'd give it a go.
I think it's worth
dip my toe into the water.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do a whole other video covering what we're going to look to take to tournaments next year and how we're going to look to do it and what have you. So stay tuned for that one. Anyway. Otherwise, we're here to talk to Andy because we've got him down here for the day, and you've said you'll come back in the future a few more times.
If I'm welcome, then all good.
Perfect. But Andy, he had a massive hiatus from the hobby. He was just saying that he bought the 6th edition rulebook, didn't really pick it up, and then he's come back in 8th. So what's pulled you back in 8th edition?
The fact that it's accessible. When I had a look at 6th, I was kind of overwhelmed by the rules because I think it'd been, from now it's 14 years since I previously played and went to university and just shelved it like a lot of people did. And now kind of having a bit more free time, a bit more flexibility, a bit more disposable income, just bought the rule book, had a look at it, looking at YouTube channels, Winters, yourself, Tabletop Tactics, that kind of thing, and getting a feel for how much fun 8th edition was and how easy it was to pick up compared to previous editions.
Yeah.
And I thought, naively, that isn't going to impact too much of my time on my wallet. And I dusted off some old Dark Angels that I've had for a very, very long time. Some old metal models, some old bits of plastic that I'd picked up over the years, things that I'd painted just for fun. And I just thought, I'll cobble something together. And it was about the time that the Dark Angels Codex was coming out last year. So I got myself some Deathwing and decided I'm going to make a really flavoursome Deathwing force full of Terminators, which I then found out were rubbish.
After you bought them all, right?
After I bought them, cool, and painted them. And then at the start of this year, I kind of started playing again. I was living down in Devon at the time, so I went to the local club and had a few games. Yeah. And it was really just because it was that simple, and you could access the narrative, you could tell stories. There were all these narrative missions in the rule book, which previously I hadn't even noticed or picked up on if it was in previous rulebooks. I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And I just thought, this is the game I want to play rather than what I'd seen before. So I got stuck in, and I didn't win a game for like 6 months, but I had a really good laugh.
And that's key, and that's one of the things I think with this edition's come hand in hand, right? The accessibility, the ease of the rules, and having fun, they're all intertwined and interlinked. If the rules weren't easy to pick up, it would be harder to have fun because you wouldn't know what's going on. You wouldn't understand what's going on, and you'd probably get curb stomped by every single person. Yeah. But because the rules are quite easy, when you're playing people that have played for years and years and years, dare I say it, because I've been in the same boat myself, dare I say it, they tend to be a little bit more tactical than you do. Definitely. Normally for experience, I guess, more than anything, but they've played the missions before, they've played the game before, they know what they need to do to win. So even with balanced lists, if you're a more experienced player, you're probably more likely to win if you get my meaning. But because 8th edition is accessible, because the rules are easy, you can still have fun against those people. Yeah. When I first kind of got back into it, I went for a demo game at a GW store and had a really good time. And I was playing quite gamey people. I think people who might dip their toe into tournaments, people who took it super seriously, but were quite happy to give me kind of introductory games, and they took their foot off the gas a bit. But they were able to still have fun because they could spin a story and they could create a mission.
And even though I was perhaps still muddling about in what I was doing, they still had a laugh.
Yeah.
So I think it enables that to happen as well. So, you can still have fun even if you're not bringing a super optimal list that's going to win you a tournament.
I think that's key, and the fun aspect is probably the sort of bigger aspect we try and focus on, both on Warhammer Winters and on DZ, because I think there is so much fun to be had in this game by telling the story. What you alluded to earlier, open, narrative and match, it didn't ever exist in the previous rulebook.
Yeah.
We first saw that in Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar was the first game system GW released that released a open narrative and match play, and now we're seeing them bringing it into a lot. It's in Kill Team as well, it's in 8th edition. And even when they release stuff in chapter approved, which is coming soon in the last one, they have stuff that's released for open, stuff that's released for narrative, and stuff that's released for matched.
Yeah.
So they keep them separate. There is something I wish they would do. I think we spoke about this on the channel before. I think we've definitely spoke about it on the podcast. I would like them personally to, by the way, this is also going to go out as a podcast. I would like them personally to come up with a tournament play pamphlet, because I think some of the changes they make in the FAQs and chapter approved affect narrative play too much when the design is to affect match play.
Yeah.
So I think what they could do maybe is release a tournament play pack, a tournament book. None of this narrative gumph, none of this quotes, no pictures, because it's not what it's for, right? It's for tournaments. And all your tournament pack rules come in this one pack. Maybe they charge you a tenner. I mean, that's probably quite cheap by GW standards, but you get my point. And all it is for if you're playing tournaments, organising tournaments, this is your pack. And there's your rules.
I think that would work, but I like the fact that it's all in one place.
I do.
And it gives you because we were just talking then a couple of minutes ago about me potentially doing a tournament next year. That's not something I would have considered 12 months ago at all. So having all of the options presented within the rulebook, and obviously all the different supplements, it gives me it's kind of progression through the play styles. So, chuck some dice and play an open play mission to get the rules down, then move into kind of some of the missions within the rulebook, and then ramp it up and go full bore.
So in a perfect world, that pamphlet, that tournament play pamphlet, wouldn't be a pamphlet. I would have had it in the rulebook from the start, because I think open, narrative and matched is exactly what you said. I think that's progression. I think matched has another level of progression to tournament. So match play with points, maelstrom and such like is match play. Tournament play has there's even a section in the rulebook that tells you about if you take this many points, you can have 3 battalions, a max of 3, etc. And then we've got these FAQ bolt-ons to tournament play. So they're getting quite a few. It would have been nice to have 2 or 3 pages maybe in the book, because the book's about that thick, right? And most of it's narrative and background. It would have been nice to have a little bit more thought on tournament play, so we can keep it set. And it's not because I want to go and play tournaments, this is because I want to keep it separate from narrative. Okay. I don't want that stuff in narrative. Keep that to your tournament players, where I'm happy to play it at an event. I don't want it for narrative stuff.
See, even in a tournament, my army will have a backstory.
Yeah.
It'll have, I can't take that out of my game.
I struggle to. I do struggle to. The amount of times I'll be going, right, I'm going to build a horrible beardy cheese-based tournament list, and I'll put my list together and I'll put it out there.
So unlike you.
And I'll put it out there and I go, look at this, and someone goes, take this. Why take that? Because it's more competitive. I don't want to. It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And so I have this reputation for being cheese, and I like to try and push that. And yet still, sometimes, like Thousand Sons. Thousand Sons is what I'm looking to take next year. And my Thousand Sons includes 9 Rubric Marines because it's fluffy. And everyone says, don't do that, Rubrics are rubbish.
But you have to.
I have to.
Yeah.
Everyone says, take 20 Zangor. I don't want to take 20 Zangors. I don't want Bird Goat Men. I'm not interested in Bird Goat Men. I want Rubrics and Occult Terminators and stuff like that.
Stylus is shouting at the screen right now.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Poor old Stylus. Stylus is another patron who's got a gorgeous Thousand Sons army.
And has regularly beaten me into a pulp.
Has he?
Yes.
With Zangors?
Yes, and various other horrible, filthy
So
to
be clear, I have no massive problem with Zangors. It's just that most of the competitive Thousand Sons stuff you see out there includes big Zangor groups. And that's because they're a good unit. But I personally just don't want to take them because everybody else does. I like to try and do things with lists that go against the meta, that go against the common list. I don't like to run the same thing.
Yeah, I think I do that in the way I collect armies. I've got a bit of the magpie syndrome because I like to have different play styles.
Yeah.
Armies that do different things that are slightly unusual. I mean, it's where the Inquisition came from.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
You know, I read the Eisenhorn and Ravner books and went, how can I do that in a game?
Yeah.
And okay, you can get the Inquisitor models, but then how do you make it work? And so it's essentially an Imperial soup list that you can play in 4 or 5 different ways, different builds.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be super competitive, but it's different every single time you play it.
It's cool. That's what we've just played. We've just played Andy's Inquisition in a narrative mission that was 100 plus power level each, and it was cool, right? Because it's a different force. I mean, you had knights from House Terran. There was what they called stormtroopers.
Yeah, the Zions.
Tempestuous Zions, and Eisenhorn was in there, and he's got a bodyguard, and it's just a cool looking list, which is amazing. And that's that sort of theme I love.
But you could never take that to a tournament and expect a top table.
No, but what I do like, actually, to be fair, is when I look for videos on YouTube or wherever I look for videos to watch 40k content, I don't want to see the same list you see in every tournament list and every website. I'm not interested in that. I like something different. So I'll look for lists like yours just because they're very different, and you'll see models and units you've never seen before. So that's awesome. But what you've kind of alluded to there, I guess, is that you're building it based on your love for the story, right?
Yeah, and not just the. I mean, I did love the Eisenhorn books and the Ravner books, and I only read them fairly recently, and it's where the idea for the army came from. But it's the stories you can tell with it through the game.
Yes.
So obviously, if you turn up with an army of Space Marines, or you turn up with a Chaos army, one of the Chaos Space Marines or Demons or whatever, you're having a pitched battle, and it's a very obvious narrative. But with the Inquisition, and to a lesser extent the Dark Angels, you can weave in alternative reasons for having the battle, alternative objectives. You know, you can hunt the Fallen, you can find the Heretic, you can, you know, we're actually, and also the best thing is about the Inquisition is you can always win. Because even if you table me, I can go, okay, Exterminatus, job done.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it doesn't stand up in the rules.
Well, you know, narrative play.
Otherwise, you'd be winning every single event.
Narrative play.
If you had that as a stratagem, you table me Exterminatus, boom, I win. And sweet, you'd probably see
I'm pretty sure it's in the book. It's 3 CP.
Well, that's cheap.
Yeah. If you don't re-roll, it's fine.
His Andy's narrative game with his Inquisition will be up on Deployment Zone in a good few weeks, actually, probably about 6 weeks or so. So look out for it, because it was great fun. It's interesting hearing your travel back to the hobby and why you've come back, and it's simply put, it's because of ease and accessibility, which is interesting. Because let's face it, the cost of this hobby is still pretty much the same as it was.
It's and having more disposable income, because I'm basically a middle-aged man who has a better paid job than when I was a teenager.
But that initial financial investment is something that's complex and sort of puffed out and bloated. Doesn't seem worth it, right? Because it takes you a lot longer to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But that initial investment on something that you can pick up and play and enjoy straight away, especially open play. If you guys are watching this and you haven't played 40k yet, I think the open play rules are still for free, downloaded from the website. Grab them and throw some dice play and open play. It's just easy. It's easy fun. You don't need complex chapter approved or codexes necessarily. You can do it with starter boxes, and that's the other thing. The number of starter kits they've got out, and start collecting kits that they've got out,
and other game systems as well within the same universe. So we've got Kill Team and Blackstone Fortress, which have both appeared since I joined the hobby 18 months ago, coming back. And okay, they're not pitch battles, but Kill Team is a brilliant way to just relatively low cost give it a go, and a lot of the mechanics are the same.
If you play Marines, for example, with Kill Team, one box of Space Marines, really, you can fill a Kill Team.
Yeah, easily.
That's cool, because that's low cost. Buy a box of Space Marines, or for some of the other factions that are cheaper in points, it's a couple of boxes, if that. and you can therefore fill yourself out a 200-point kill team and off you go. And that's really cool.
What you don't want to do is then let that snowball into a 2,000-point Harlequin army.
Who would do that, Andy? Who does that?
Well, you know, I had 2 weeks to myself,
But
and it happened.
I honestly believe deep down that is in fact a marketing technique by GW. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think they are hoping people will go, here's Kill Team. So for those of you that have always wanted to give a Gene Stealer cults a go, play Kill Team. You don't have to buy an army. Knowing deep down that people are going to go, oh, I'm really enjoying that. And here's another box, and here's another box, and here's another box. And then eventually you end up with 2,000 points of Quins, right?
Well, yeah, the problem was it happened within 2 weeks. So it was quite a snowballing.
As long as you use the element link, that's fine.
Yeah, don't worry.
So yeah, I think that's a purpose-built tactic. I've got no issues with it or problems with it. I just think that's a purpose-built marketing technique, and I think it's clever from them as well, to be fair. There's a few people that have done that. You're not the only story I've heard that have done that. So that's awesome. What is there anything else you want to cover about coming back and how you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the context really is that I made a move in my career and geographically from Devon to Wiltshire, and as part of that, my family stayed back in Devon for the first 3 months, and playing 40k actually introduced me to a network of friends and people that I play regularly with now in a new area.
That's good.
And that was something I didn't expect at all. And obviously you've got the Discord community and the online community in general. It's brilliant because everyone's so like-minded. And obviously 15 years ago, none of that was even a thing. You know, it was just a game that you played in secret in the back room. And you know,
that's massive. I was talking to
this. It's a huge change.
I was talking to someone about this not too long ago about how the attitude towards the community and towards the hobby has changed so much. There's many things I think, honestly, that have had contributing factors to this. Things like Avenger movies being massive in the cinema. Things like shows like The Big Bang Theory and stuff like that. They don't. They kind of glorify geeks, right? They go, these people are real and there's nothing wrong with them. They're just because they're a little bit more geeky, if you want to use that word, than others. And it's becoming cool to be geeky, dare I say.
It's always been a niche hobby because people who don't play the game don't understand the universe and the backstory, and they don't understand quite why it's so immersive. And my girlfriend was one of those people. I say was because we've played Blackstone Fortress every night for the past 3 days.
Oh wow!
To the point that she went to bed reading the whole background section. Yeah. She read through the whole thing, and in the morning was asking me questions about it, and I was just like, "What?" And is now okay. She's never going to assemble a 40k army because that's not her thing. But the story behind, I don't know, but we can't afford for 2 people. But the backstory she found was fascinating, and she was reading about all the characters. She was like, I can't believe there's so much story in this. I was like, well, that's why I engage with it.
That's how I got drawn in. So I, in all honesty, I had, at the age of about 11, I had a model given to me by my grandma. She worked at a charity shop. Someone had given in a load of 40k stuff, and she gave me this. It was an old metal Chaos Bloodthirster. I did nothing with it for ages. And then I stumbled across a book. I can't remember which one it was, but I stumbled across a book and I had a skim and a read of it. And that story, that narrative is what pulled me in the very, very first place. Do you know what I honestly think Games Workshop need to do? So Games Workshop's doing an amazing job over the last sort of 12 to 18 months with the community, with Facebook, with YouTube, all that kind of stuff, the interaction, the Warhammer community team, they're supporting events, they're advertising events, they're doing an awesome job. What I think may push GW over the edge to be an absolute roaring success, I think, and people are probably going to scream at me now and tell me that I'm wrong, is a series of short or medium-sized films. So one of the other things that I think's made geeky type stuff more accessible and more acceptable is films like Lord of the Rings, like Harry Potter, The Hobbits. So they were previously probably considered niche geek type things that people would read and go, oh, look at him reading Lord of the Rings. And then these massive blockbuster films come out that are brilliantly made, and people will watch that stuff. Same as the Avengers films and stuff.
Yeah,
like that. And if you imagine a series of films that explains the 40k universe to you, and you don't have to read books because people nowadays don't like reading books. And you had a series of shows or films, and people got to explain that universe to you. This is the 40k universe. This is the Horus Heresy. This is what happened.
I think it'd be difficult. I think
100%
it's so.
difficult.
The problem is that Lord of the Rings is contained within 5 or 6 stories.
Yeah. By a single author.
Yeah. Even the comic book films, which is a massive universe, have well-established characters that have been popularised for 50 years in some cases. With 40k, it's such a huge, sprawling narrative with, I mean, not just Horus Heresy, the whole gamut of things. You've got so many different factions, so many different stories, so many divergences in the narrative, and it's changed so much over the I'm not saying people would
easy.
find it hard to engage with, I think, because someone who might have once played a Tyranid army in 1997 is not going to want to go and watch a film that's just about Space Marines or about the Horus Heresy, because people take what they want from it, which is why it's great.
Yeah, of course. It wouldn't be easy, and it might not be the best move. I just think that if they could do that,
I'd watch it.
Yeah, of course I would. If they did a video series of some sort that described the Horus Heresy, so that it was mainstream and people could see it, maybe I'm talking out my backside. Maybe it would be absolute rubbish. I just think I think that's the one hurdle they maybe have now, because what draws a lot of us in, the guys in the Discord, what draws a lot of people into even their own specific factions, is the narrative in the background behind that faction. And what will probably scare some people off, the Horus Heresy, it's 26 books. What?
Yeah.
You don't have to read all 26, but people that know the series know that. The Horus Heresy at 26 books, a lot of people are going to go, I'm not going to read 26 novels to get into the lore.
I stand by what Winter said on that, is read the first 4, then pick what you want.
Yeah.
And I did that probably before I heard that, because I've been reading them for a few years, but I just picked the Dark Angels ones, and then now I go back into it if a particular string of the narrative interests me.
Yeah, if you haven't read them, the first 4 are absolutely incredible. You've got Horus Rising, False Gods, Galaxy in Flames, and Flight of the Eisenstein. They're the first 4 books. They are all excellent. Flight of the Eisenstein does take a little while to get going, in my opinion. Yeah. But once you get through that first part, I think it's a brilliant, brilliant book. I'm on book 5 now and have been for the last year, because for me, book 5, Fulgrim, is just, I can't get past.
I've not read it. I literally, after Flight of the Eisenstein, went just Dark Angels and followed their narrative through, and then dipped back into various novels and audiobooks and things as well. So, but that takes me back to the point. It is what you want. You don't have to, read the entire thing. You don't have to read every word. You don't to get something out of the hobby. You just have to follow your narrative.
And the other thing is Brom, who you may have seen on Warhammer before, you may have seen at deploymentzone.tv. He doesn't do a lot of reading of the books, so they do them in audiobooks, and he listens to them in audiobooks. I don't know. I'm not sure he can. He does them in audiobooks, and he listens to them in audiobooks, and the audiobooks apparently, on the whole, are very, very good. They are bite-sized down ever so slightly, so they're not quite a full book. But they give you what you need to know the story, and he's been listening to those, and he gets through loads of them by listening to the audiobooks. So if you can't be bothered to sit and read a book or a Kindle, whatever it is you read, you can listen to it. Whether you're in the gym, on the drive. He went. His commute to work from his house to his front door was about 15-20 minutes, and he was listening 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, 20 minutes there, and that's how he was getting through the books. Just because that commute is a boring morning commute for him anyway.
I've done that.
Listen to audiobooks. Yeah. Some people have longer commutes. I know some of the people in Discord have got sort of like an hour's commute. What a great way to consume your time if you've got nothing else to listen to, because mainstream radio is rubbish.
Or you could listen to this podcast.
You could listen to this podcast on iTunes. Yeah, that's true. Or on Podbean. There's obviously that as well. So the other aspect that people coming back to the hobby have had to tackle, which again I think GW have done a lot better, is the hobby nature of the hobby. So it's one thing to pick an army, collect an army, and play your games. But that putting together, kit bashing, converting, painting. Have you found that coming back?
Well, as you said before, I've tried the whole range.
Yeah, I know.
I painted my Dark Angels and absolutely loved it, and but there's only so much bone white and Caliban green that you can do. So for me, I then diverted off into other things. But like most of the people on Discord, I think I kind of trawl eBay for bargains, bits and pieces, and occasionally you find fully painted absolute bargains to go for. So I've bought bits off there, but that also introduced me to the world of commission painting.
Yeah.
So I have commissioned a few bits from various people. There's a guy that I know up in Scotland who did a few bits for me right at the start of this year, which was great and cost effective, and it just allowed me to bolt things on.
Yeah.
So I tended to pick vehicles because it's easier to match in to the colour scheme, and it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. Like the pro painted kind of unit next to the one that I did 5 years ago, or 20 years ago, or whatever. That looks like a kid did it. And at first I was like, do I really want to do this? Does it take away from my hobby? But it doesn't. It allows me to focus on the projects that I want to do, like my custom Inquisitor and like the kit bashing of things, and doing a squad of Death Watch that has all Stormbolters, and basically let someone else do all of the spraying.
The graph.
Exactly.
And the thing is, there's another way to look at it as well. So I've heard a lot of, since I've been doing this on YouTube and with DZ, I've heard a lot of negative about commission painting. And you shouldn't get your stuff commissioned, you should do it yourself. Now, for me running these channels, it's absolutely impossible to do everything myself.
Yeah.
Full stop. That's by the by. For other people, including yourself, who don't have the burden of this channel to run at the same time, it offers so much more than what people think. Just because you don't necessarily want to paint certain units doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to then play the game with painted models. So it gives some people hate painting, love the lore, love the narrative, love the gaming, don't like the painting. It gives them the opportunity to join in as well. And the other big thing in the modern day with 40k is there's a lot of people out there now, I think, that are trying to make their way in the world with their hobby somehow. People like myself and Winters with the YouTube channels and with the website. And people like your painting guy up in Scotland who's trying to paint for a living essentially. And what you're doing is indirectly, but also kind of directly supporting the hobby community.
I mean, he plays 40k, but he's kind of he doesn't practice what he preaches in the sense that he plays with unpainted plastic.
Wow, that's awesome.
Because that's not what his job and what he loves to paint. But when he's playing, he's kind of doesn't want to have to do all his own stuff as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I mean, what I've started doing an awful lot, because what I enjoy is the kind of creating the characters, is building them, so kit bashing them, giving them weapons, kind of tweaking them, giving extra bits and pieces to make it look individual, and then I'll send that off to get painted. So if something,
there's still you in that. There's still you in that character, right?
So you still have a connection, because a lot of people have said, you don't have that connection to your army because you didn't do it. For me, I do the bits that matter. If there's like my Inquisitor Braxton, I painted that, and he's an individual piece. Richie's screaming at the screen now.
Yeah, he doesn't call him Braxton right now.
Tony. But it doesn't mean because I didn't paint all of the Scions that they're not my army.
No.
I kind of came up with the idea and created that, and then Leo painted them up for me. So it's still my army, and it still looks great, and I still love to play with it. I'm never going to claim that I did it.
No, and that's key, right? That's something that I'm always massive on. I love the idea of supporting people. We've got the Eternal Slaughter that you saw against Winters, which was done by Blazing Brush Studio, a guy called James there. That army's gorgeous. I love it. I love taking it to a tabletop. I love taking it to tournaments. I love people. It's not very good at tournaments. I love taking it to tournaments and people going, wow, look at that. That's
the
incredible.
One with the Hexwraith Green Knight?
No. People, but no matter how much praise I get for how good it looks, because I do get a lot of praise for how good it looks, I always say that comes from Blazing Brush Studio.
Yeah.
Because it's key, because not only did I can support the community by buying that from him, I continue to support him by giving him the credit. Which is really key and really important. And the more, for me, the more people that can make a living off of this hobby, or make some kind of extra living off of this hobby, the more content we get. The more content we get, the more exposure the hobby gets. The more exposure it gets, the more people that will come in, and it grows and grows. It becomes this big working machine, and we just pull people in, and it thrives, and that's how it thrives.
And the other thing is with commission painters is that they can be prohibitively expensive for some people.
Yeah.
But if they're growing and expanding, then they can afford to drop their prices as they grow. If they had a studio with a team of people in.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's not going to happen overnight, but as I say, it's about expanding the community.
Massively.
And yeah, for me, especially if you build something and send it off to get painted, it doesn't have to be prohibitively expensive. It can be, £5-10 a miniature.
Yeah.
If you're going for a reasonable or upper tabletop standard, if you're going to send it to a professional studio to get everyone done to a character standard, then it's going to be more.
Yeah,
but you pick what works for you.
Yeah.
And for me, it was basically a case of magpie syndrome hit. I realised I couldn't do everything I wanted. I refused to play with grey plastic.
I honestly think that if any single person watching this video or listening to this podcast, any single one of them sat there and honestly thought to themselves, I'm not a magpie, they're probably lying. I think the nature of 40k is that 90% of us, I'm horrendous for it.
Is this now where we just sit here for 10 minutes defending ourselves for the amount of stuff that we've
I'm not
got?
defending it, I'm just accepting it. I'm horrendous for being a magpie. That is gorgeous, because that's the other thing that they've been doing lately over the last couple of years, which has been absolutely unbelievable. They are kicking out some blinding stuff. Some really, really, really cool looking minis, some really cool miniatures, some really cool gaming systems, things like Titanicus, which I know you're
it's fantastic.
knee deep in as well.
So good.
The stuff they're kicking out is gorgeous. The new demon stuff that's been coming out over the last few years. I know we've got the sisters come in. All the models near enough that have come out lately are stunning, and it's really hard for someone who's invested in the universe and the story. When you see this model come out with incredible detail that looks the way it should look without even knowing that's the way it should look, and you go, I want to have that because it's just cool.
I've been caught out by that, and I have quite a few armies now. I've got the Inquisition, which is made up of the Zions, the Death Watch, the Inquisitors, and obviously chucking some Knights in there. My main army's Dark Angels. I've got the Harlequins that I've mentioned, and that's basically what I play with. But over the past year, I have also collected and painted and played with Tyranids, Death Guard, and Custodes.
Wow! You might be worse than me. Actually.
Well, I don't have them anymore because each one I've sold on, and at least one of those armies has gone to another patron. So that's another good thing about the community. But I did them, got the codex, went out there, kind of had a few games, and I thought, I don't really enjoy this army. It's still a fun game, but Tyranids I couldn't get involved in the narrative because, I'm sure Mike will correct me, but the narrative's rubbish. They're just big bugs that eat things. Yeah,
it's got to be hard. So the best narrative I've read from Tyranids wasn't actually written from a Tyranids perspective.
Yeah.
The best narrative I've ever read from Tyranids has come from like Guardsman's perspective.
Yeah.
That narrative's quite cool. So it tells the
Starship
story.
Troopers.
Yeah, it tells the story of the Tyranids and when they come in, and it doesn't come from their perspective because it's hard. You've got a mindless killing machine. How do you write a story?
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's hard, and it was one of the reasons I just couldn't get into it. I found myself rooting for the other side. I wanted them to kill bugs because that's what we see in the movies. That's what we see in the story.
For me, that's the glory of the hobby as well. So I love Tyranids. I would never collect them at this stage if I had to paint them myself because I just don't see me painting that much natural flesh and flesh tones and stuff like that. So I don't think I could or would. Plus, Mike's got a Nid army and Winters has got a big Nid army, so there's no need for me to have Nids. But I love the idea of just angry, voracious bugs coming across and slaughtering everything.
Well, it makes for a great game, and I've played Mike, and we had an absolutely cracking game. Same army as more or less that I used today with you, and we just spun a story. And it was kind of the encroaching waves of bugs. But I was playing it from the Imperial side point, and
then you enjoyed it, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
And the other are Custodes, beautiful models, so good, looks exactly as they should, and I just didn't enjoy playing them on the tabletop.
For me, Custodians are another one of those model ranges that came out, and GW just got it right for me straight away. I played Chewie, who you may have seen on Winters SEO. I played against his Custodians for Deployment Zone, and I thought they were a bit rubbish. I toned my list down ever so slightly because I thought they were a bit rubbish. They're insanely good, but they do require a certain kind of play style, I think. And if that's not your way of playing, then they're not going to suit you.
Yeah, I just found it kind of. I think I was playing two inexperienced players when I used them as well. I mean, I wasn't super experienced, but I brought them out, and then turn 3 I was putting them away again because we won.
But I think,
I was kind of like, I don't really get that added level of enjoyment.
What
of
I like about
story.
Custodians is they can layer in some epic heroic deeds. Right, so we went to Warhammer World a few weeks ago now for a Patreon-based event called No Surrender, which Andy spoke about earlier. And basically, a couple of our patrons, a guy called Richie and a guy called The Claw, Alan, they put together an event up at Warhammer World, and it was simple. It was a knockout tournament. It wasn't a serious tournament. It was a knockout tournament. It was 1,000 points, mono faction. Come and throw some dice, and we played a number of games throughout the day. And a guy called Toby, who has a YouTube channel called Sorcerer Dave, check that out. Sorcerer Dave's a huge channel compared to us, 80,000 subscribers. Up until recently was predominantly video games. He started doing battle reports. You've been on there with him.
I've been on 2 of those, yeah.
And they're starting to get really good as well, so check out Sorcerer Dave. He took Custodians to No Surrender because he's a Warhammer patron, because he's a hero. And he took a battalion. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a battalion of Custodians looks like in 1,000 points.
It's 3 models.
Not a lot of models. So he had 3 squads of Custodian Guard, a shield captain, another shield captain, and a banner dude. I think one of the shield captains was in Alaris Terminator armor. That was all he had. The first game he played was against another patron called Degs and his orcs, and he bought an orc horde. He had 80 or 90 bodies. When the game finished, Toby hadn't lost a model.
Yeah.
He'd lost 2 or 3 wounds. He hadn't lost a model as the orc horde just crashed against this golden wall. That is cool.
To put it in context with my army, I took Ravenwing, pure Ravenwing. I had exactly the same number of models for the same number of points as Toby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we both had 14 models on the table.
Wow.
Except mine were gone more or less by the end of the game.
Okay.
Although I did win, so it's okay.
So for some of you who won't know what we're talking about, Warhammer has a Patreon page. You've seen it flash up on the screen. We've got a community that is just incredible. So there's multiple levels. I mean, you're in at the top, right? You're one of the...
For my sins.
You're one of the inner circle. You get all the secrets and all the...
I don't want the secrets. They're really awful.
You get the secrets in Discord and in WhatsApp. But we've got multiple levels.
The selfies are a bit much, Liam.
With the shirt off.
Yeah.
We've got different levels. $2 gets you into our Discord, and I think a lot of people pay the $2 just to be part of the community, to be honest, which is amazing, because the content's not been as frequent as we would like. We're working hard to sort that out. Hence this sort of stuff. But the community is awesome, and they are an amazing bunch of people that buy, sell, trade with each other, give hints and tips, share projects, share painting, have meetups, have get-togethers, run events, run tournaments, have weekends on the beer. It's just the best community, I think, for the hobby I've ever been involved in.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. Admittedly, my only previous involvement in any 40k community was Winter's Discord.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's bonkers.
That's the best word, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's completely overwhelming at times, both in a supporting way and a Mickey taking way. But yeah, it's a group of like-minded individuals that are very easygoing. And when we've got together, it's, for events and stuff, it's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, legends.
Yeah,
absolute legends. So, if you feel like it, check it out. I mean, you've only got to pay for a month and see if you like it. It's $2. It's less than a coffee. You might love it. You might hate it. And if you hate it, you can go. It's up to you, basically. But I think it's a cool place to hang out. And as part of this sort of experience, as part of people coming back to 40k, I think it's a really good place for new people to come as well.
I think so many people in that Discord are in the same boat.
Yeah.
Either dipping their toe back in, trying to find out what it's about, trying to find more information. They've gone to YouTube, they've seen battle reports, they've seen sit and talks, they've joined the community, and then they basically get loads of free advice, free hints, free tips. Get to meet Richie as well. less good.
Is it? Oh, he's all right. I mean, he's a massive pain in my ass, but he's all right.
I've stayed at his house, so I can sympathise with him.
Poor old Richie, we love him really. Check it out if you feel like it. Anyway, before we wrap this up, I'm going to ask you, I think, probably 3 quick fire questions.
Do it, man.
Because I think it would be cool that every time we get someone new on, we ask the same 3 questions. What was the first model you ever painted?
First model I ever painted was probably from Hero Quest box set.
Hero Quest?
Yeah, I can't tell you which one because it's so long ago.
So what was your first 40k model you ever painted?
40k, I've still got it.
Have you?
It was Ragnar Blackmane.
Oh really?
Yeah.
The old metal one?
Yeah, and oh my god, was it an awful paint job.
I need a picture of that for the green screen now.
I've got many, yeah. He was in the box that I took to Dungeon Gaming. I was like,
really?
oh god, look, here he is.
Okay.
And yeah, still with the paper banners.
So wow.
Yeah.
So if we get a nice professional photo, I'll put that behind us right now. Okay, favourite faction and why?
Dark Angels.
Why?
Because
of chaos?
No, because they're just so flexible.
Yeah.
You know, that you can basically have any narrative you want in a game with them because they're so shadowy that they can have any real hidden agenda. So you can really, as returning to the game, struggling, getting back to grips with the rules, but also, you know, Space Marines are not doing brilliantly, especially when you've only got a limited build.
Yeah.
So this was before I had any Primaris stuff. I just had a few tax squads and a few characters, and you know, you go, right, I'm going to get deleted here, I'm going to get beaten. So you just go, right, I'm going to kill that character, or there's various stratagems that they can use to go after one character because he knows where a fallen is.
So you can spin a narrative and achieve your goal.
Yeah, and I know you can probably do that with any faction, but I've always found that the most engaging story, the whole kind of fall of Caliban, and you know, the story of the Lion and Luther and all of that. Check it out.
The Lion who's still in the rock.
Yeah,
supposedly.
He's going to be back. He's just having a nap.
Just a little sleep.
Yeah, 10,000 years or
and
so.
the other thing that helps Dark Ages out, obviously, is their model range on the whole is pretty amazing.
Yeah, Azrael desperately needs a new model.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe with
Do you know who didn't need a new model? Calgar.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that is a hint that maybe next year there'll be a few more chapter masters get
Well, there's big rumours that not Horus, that Abaddon's going to get an upgrade, and stuff, or Abaddon, however you say his name. So that'll be cool.
Yeah,
I'd imagine we'll see that for a lot of the characters now. Obviously,
I could use him as a chaos kind of Dark Angels chapter master.
Yeah, so Khan had it, Araman had it.
Yeah.
So plenty of characters have had it. So I'd imagine we're going to keep seeing them doing it, but they can't, do it all at once.
And to be honest, in the Dark Angels range, the Asmodai model is awesome. It's so good. That's a really good sculpt. Ezekiel the Librarian is pretty good. He's small, but he's good. I quite
like that model. If you scale that up and plastic it, it's still perfect.
Yeah. And the character range for the Deathwing Knight, the model range for Deathwing Knights and Deathwing in general, Belial, they're really good. They're good sculpts. It's only Azrael that needs a facelift. Because he's so tiny.
I say final question. I'll probably ask you like 3 more. So
go for it, man. Favourite
character in 30 or 40k?
Ooh, that's tricky.
It's probably the hardest question.
Yeah,
right?
It's definitely hard. I think I'm going to. It's maybe slightly predictable, but it's just fresh in my mind. I guess I'm going to have to say Eisenhorn. Because those novels and those stories, I mean, he is a grumpy git, but he's got awesome stories and an awesome narrative, and even when he's kind of on death's door, he still manages to pull it out of the fire and just about make it work.
That's cool.
And he's the reason that I bought the Eisenhorn model and then started creating this whole Inquisition army, really.
Yeah.
And that I'm having so much fun with that. I mean, there's loads of other characters on there, but I'm sure if you asked me in 3 days' time, I'd probably
pick someone different, depending on what you've been reading or doing at the time.
Exactly. But having just played an Inquisition game,
that
if I could pick Braxton, I would.
But he's not a real character, is he?
He is a real character.
He's not in current written canon, right?
Well, maybe I'll write something.
Yeah, that's fine, and then we can share that as well. I could ask you questions all day actually. I was thinking of more as we go, but I think if I stick to the three, otherwise I'll just tumble down a rabbit hole, and we'll be here till midnight. And the wife's texting me going, "It's hot chocolate night," because it's Christmas and stuff.
Joy.
So yeah, I've got to go and spend time with my own children. Horrible. Anyway, like I said to you guys before, check out Patreon if you feel like it. Come and jump in the Discord. The people like Andy are in there. There's community events and all kinds of stuff that we organise. It's amazing fun. Thanks for coming and chatting to us, because I think it's really cool. And I think every time I get a patron down here to film, I think we'll try and do this as well, because I think that's really cool. And talk about their experiences and what they love and why. Because I think you'll find that, because I know this from the Discord, but from person A to person Z in the Discord, there's a multitude of different reasons as to why people are enjoying this hobby right now and why they've come and played 40k. Some of them have played all the way through since 5th, 6th, 7th edition, like myself. Some have just come back. Some have started for the first time ever in 8th edition, which is amazing. So come and join us. Big shout out to our sponsor, Element, who have sent us stuff to give away, and there'll be another giveaway coming soon. They've offered us a Blackstone Fortress to give away.
I've already got it.
Yeah. All right, you'd have to win it then. So I'm not sure yet whether we're going to do that or not. Maybe if there's enough interest in it, maybe we'll give a Blackstone Fortress away.
You should, because it's awesome.
Okay. No pressure, right? So thank you very much to Element. A wonderful thank you, massive thank you to all of our patrons for Warhammer, because you guys are awesome, and without you we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to film this on a new camera with a new stand and all that kind of stuff, and new microphones and what have you. So thank you to you guys. You guys are heroes. I hope you've enjoyed watching or listening to this, however it is. Obviously, if you're listening on iTunes or Podbean, then check us out on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, check us out on iTunes or Podbean. That's how it works. Multiple platforms, not
There's no escape.
No, exactly, yeah, we're everywhere. Soon we'll be on billboards and big screens.
Oh, I don't want to picture
that. Like in Times Square and stuff.
No one should see a poster that big of you.
Oh. Because I've got rid of the beard?
Yeah. It's intimidating.
I filmed a sit and talk with Winters on Tuesday and just sat like that.
I can't look directly at the chin.
Which one? So thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.